Alright, we're going to do a review of some basic word processing functions. And what you're looking at here is Word 2013. And I just want to first call to your attention this wide band across the top. This is actually called the ribbon. And on the ribbon, there are these tabs that look very much like a binder tab. And when you click them, your options are going to change to what you have access to. And they're grouped together. You'll see here that I'm on the Insert tab, and there are groups. This group is the Pages group, Illustrations group, Add-ins, and so on. But every time you change a tab, you're going to change which groups you have options for. And we're going to go back here for a few minutes and look primarily at the Home tab, and then we'll look at a few of the other tabs. The Home tab has a vast array of lots of formatting functions that are good to know. And we're going to look, first of all, at this font group here and explore some options here. This first option is the font name, and Word is very user-friendly. If you hover on an option, it will tell you the name of the function. And I'm just going to expand this with this expansion feature here and take a look at the variety of fonts that are available. And you will see that this list is pretty expansive. And you could go ahead and pick a font before you get started typing, but you can always change the font as you go as well. And I'm going to go ahead and pick one of my favorite fonts, which is Comic Sans MS. And I like it because it's very easy to read. I'm going to just type my name. And this is in Comic Sans MS, and this is the font size, so it's an 11-point font. But I'm going to go ahead, since I've already typed this, I'm going to highlight it or select it to change it. And then I'm going to drop down here and just show you how easy it is to change it to a different font. The same is true for size here. I've got some, and it'll preview it in the background for you, some very large sizes. And if the size that you want is not listed, that's not a problem. You can simply type the size that you want when this size is highlighted blue. And I'm going to do something really big. I'm going to do 100 and let you see what it looks like. And you'll notice when I do that, it changes to 2 lines. Now, if I go back and change the font to a different font, even at 100 points, it might only take 1 line. Each font is different in the amount of space that it takes up. Now, I do want to bring to your attention one font that students really like to use when they're being silly is Wingdings. Let me show you what Wingdings looks like. It's not a readable font, so just be aware of that. You need to make sure that you are choosing fonts that are easy to read and that match whatever you're working on. If you're doing a flyer or something of that nature that you're going to post, you're going to want some, larger fonts. This particular font, Chiller, some students really like. It's not the easiest to read when it's smaller. I'm going to make this 12 points is the normal font that you would type in for paragraphs, and you can see that that is not really easy to see. So pick your font based upon what it is that you want to do. And I'm just going to put mine back to, I'll do Kristen this time and make it a little bigger because we're going to play with this a little bit and change the colors and some more features. So let me just go through this font group for you. This is the increase font. So this goes up a certain percentage of fonts, 1 click at a time. So get it where you want it. And then, of course, this one does opposite. This particular feature will allow you to change the case. Currently, right now, I've got a capital at the beginning of each word. But if I do the change capital or change case, I could change it to all lowercase, or I could capitalize each word, or even do it all uppercase. And I'm going to put it back the way that it should be. Okay, now let's move down to this section of the group. This is the bold function, and of course, since this is highlighted or selected, if I click bold, it automatically bolds for you. And this is a toggle, so If it's highlighted, it's on. If it's not, it's off. So I'm going to turn it off so you can see how easy that is. And you can add multiple features here. You might want to have it bold and italics, or bold and underline. So you've got some options there. This next one is strike through, and it's not really used very often, but if you were making a list and you wanted to mark things off as you went, then you could use strike through. Oh, and I also forgot to show you a feature on underline that's pretty neat. This is the basic underline, but if you do a drop down here, you can get some more underline options, or you could even change the color of the underline. Let's make it like that. All right, so these two functions here are superscript and subscript, and this would be used mainly if you were trying to type a formula. So I'll just show you what that looks like. I'm going to go to a new line, and I'll do x squared. So I'm going to do x, and then I'm going to do the superscript 2. And now that looks like x squared, but really I need to change the font on that because it doesn't look so definitely math. There we go. That looks a little more math. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my name. And again, I'm selecting it. There's two ways to do that. You can click and drag across, or if you go just to the left until you get this arrow, you can click once and it'll select it. You even get a little pop-up, a little cheat stuff here that's all from this font group. But let me show you this. This is text effects and typography. There are tons of options here. So I'm going to do the drop down. And you're going to see that there's all kinds of ways to change your font that are very interesting. And I like that Word previews it for you in the background, so you kind of see what it's going to look like. That one's interesting. Okay, so I like this one with what we got there. The background shadow behind the letters kind of matches the underline that I chose. But I'm going to go back to this same function. Remember, this is text effects and typography. And go down to outline. And this will outline your letters. And I'm going to do something blue. And that's really hard to see. And that's because the weight of the outline is very thin. So I'm going to do weight. And instead of 3/4 of a point, I'm going to make it really big. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, you can see it's a little thicker there. Okay, and let's explore the shadows. Now, shadow, right now it's on no shadow, but you can go down here and it'll give you shadows around your letters. And I'm going to make one that's fairly easy to see there. You see the gray behind it for the shadow. And then reflection, lots of options there. You can reflect. And then the last one is glow. And this just changes how the letters look a little. And again, I've got too much on this probably, but I just wanted to show you what you had as an option. Now, this section is for highlighting. And if I wanted to highlight something, let's say this x squared, I'm going to select it and go here. And I've got all kind of colors I could highlight. Now, I'm going to say be careful because some of these colors make it really hard once you get lots of elements on the page. Like that's just not really eye-pleasing. So be careful with that, especially when it's a fluorescent. And I'm going to go back and stop the highlighting. And then I'm going to select this again and go ahead and take that highlight off by doing no color. Now, also, we have spent all of this time so far on the font group, but I want to show you that there's still some more options. If you expand the font group here, you can see that you have the regular fonts here. This is the list. And here are some bold and bold italics options and size. Font color as well, underline style and underline color. And then you have the strike through. This actually offers an additional feature of double strike through. And then you can change the caps. Now, I do want to take a minute and explore some other things. If I were making a list, let's say that I'm making my Walmart list, and I'm going to make this smaller. We're not doing any headings or anything. A heading would be much larger. So I'm going to go something like this, and I'm going to go back to my favorite font when I'm typing directions and things. So I'm going to do supplies needed. Now, you'll notice that I've got a blue underline because I didn't turn it off. That's not a problem though. All I need to do is select everything and do no outline or no underline. All right, supplies needed. And let's say I'm doing a grocery list and I need bread, milk, cheese, and we're going to need some lunch meat. We're going to make sandwiches. All right. Now, this list is kind of spread out. It looks like there's empty space or empty lines between it, but there's not. And I'm going to show you how to change those things. So since I want to change all of this, I'm going to click and drag across. And then I'm going to explore this paragraph group. I'm going to go ahead and expand right here. And you'll notice that there are some spacing here. The line spacing's at multiple. And so I'm going to go ahead and change this to single. And notice that the before and after have a number of 0 and 8. I'm going to leave it there so you can see what single looks like with 0 before and 8 after. And you'll see that there's still lots of space. That is because of that 8 point after. So we're going to go back and change that. That's one thing that a lot of people forget. Get that down to 0. And now we have a list that looks a little bit better. Now, in this list, there's really a title because this supplies needed, I don't need to pick up. This is my title, so I'm going to make it bold. Oh, did you see what I just did accidentally? I accidentally drug the title down. I let my mouse go too early. That's not an issue. This little magic button right here, I love. It's called undo, and it'll undo the last thing that you did. In fact, it'll keep undoing if you keep clicking it till you get it back to the original version. All right, so what I wanted to do was select all of this because I also failed to turn off the superscript. So now then, all right, now supplies needed. We need bread, milk, cheese, and lunch meat. I want to take the title here and bold it so it stands out. And then each one of these things need a bullet by them. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. It's actually a really easy thing. I'm going to select all the things that I want to bullet, like that. And in your paragraph group, you have some options here. This first one is bullets. And I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the others. This is numbering, if I wanted to do a numbered list. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that, even though that's not really what I want this time. But you've got some options here. This is very frequently needed. And different ways to display your numbers. Now, I'm going to go back to none, because what I really want is some bullets. And this is the standard bullet, what most people use, but you do have some other options. Okay, I'm going to go to the regular. I like how that looks. Now, there's some other things that I want to show you. I'm going to enter and go down. Notice that, well, let me just go back and show you that again. If I'm at the end of a bulleted list and I tap enter, Word automatically gives me another bullet in the event that I would like to type something else. If you don't want a bullet there, that's not a problem. You just enter again, and Word is smart enough to know that you don't want that. Now, I'm going to show you how to do some alignment things. And I'm just going to type the words subtitle and title, and then this is going to be paragraph. Now, if I'm doing the title of something, I'm going to want it a little bit bigger than everything else. So I'm going to bump that up, and I'm going to bold it. Okay? And the subtitle, you'd want, just a little bit smaller than your title. The title was on 24, so let's make this 22. And then the paragraph needs to be regular. Now, paragraph typically is in 12-point font. Now, the title normally is going to be centered, and there's a really easy way to do that in Word. If you look in this paragraph group on this bottom row, there's some alignment features. Here you have align left, you have center, you have align right. And this last one is justified. This is what newspapers use to keep the left and right margins even. And I'm going to go ahead and just center my title. So easy. And I'm going to take the subtitle and center it as well. And then my paragraph would start on the left, typically with an indent, and you can end it by clicking tab. All right, guys, that's just a brief intro of the most basic functions in Word. I hope you enjoyed it.